Hello guys, it's Wildheart and today I will do patch 13.11 rundown for you. We got rel rework today, we got many items from 13.10 adjusted, and also Iron got buffed, so let's dive right into it. So rel. HP regeneration, basically every single base stat is buffed. Passive is giving you more armor now. Armor and magic resist still. Q is modified that way that it will be more enjoyable for you to jungle with rel. I don't see much use of this AP scaling because you don't really buy any AP items for rel. Normally you go just full tank, but whatever. But also, I mean, flat damage is increased by a little as well. This sounds like a really good spell for clearing, considering it's fairly low cooldown as well. Alright. W, knock-up duration is increased. Shield is buffed by a little, but it also scales off maximum health as well, which will increase shield by a lot at later stages of the game. Self-slow is reduced by 5%, and damage to jungle camps is increased. So we already have two spells that do more damage to jungle camps. I mean, it sounds interesting, however, rel sounds like a really weak jungler to me. Maybe I'm biased about that, I'm not sure, but sounds really weird to me. Alright, her E. Flat damage is increased by 10, 15, 20, 25 and 30 respectively. And the HP scaling is changed from 2 to 4% at level 9, if you max it like at level 5 of spell, to 4% flat. And AP scaling is increased by 20%. I don't really get this point of increasing AP scaling when you don't really get any AP scaling, any AP items normally with rel. Maybe new rel works differently and you want to get AP items, so it works differently, but for now I don't see which AP items you can buy for rel. It just sounds awkward to me. Alright, movement speed ramps up from 50% of total speed to 100 over the first 2 seconds. Ramps up from 75% of total speed to 100 over the first 2 seconds. Wait. So it's alright. So it's already rel buff. I see. Let's check the rework itself. Passive duration is increased by 1 second. So it was reduced firstly, and after that it was buffed. Makes sense. Stacks. Armor magic resist shred now stacks up to 5 times per target. All of rel's abilities will also apply a stack of your passive minimum armor and magic resist steel 5 to 12 to 1.25 to 2.5 based on level. So it was capped at 5 to 12 based on level, and now you can get a little more. So it totals up to like 6, 7 up to 12.5, it seems. It's kinda hard to calculate it because it's like the description is so weird. We'll see in the game, I guess. Deathproof Magnet's rel keeps the resists for the full duration of the passive buff, even if the target dies. Interesting. Alright, passive no longer deals bonus magic damage on hit. Doesn't really matter because magic damage on hit wasn't really useful. Hitting a new target no longer refreshes the passive duration on all targets. Doesn't really matter as well. Passive no longer applies to minions. Doesn't really matter as well. Alright, Q now stuns all targets hit for 0.75 seconds. That's cool. Considering how low the cooldown of spell is, that's cool. Who needs heals anyway? Q no longer heals herself or her allies. Range was reduced. Huh. Range was reduced but increased behind rail. I didn't even know you can work behind rail. That's so weird. Alright, cooldown. Cooldown is increased. Cooldown is increased by a lot. It actually makes sense because it sounds like the spell is going to be stronger in general. Flat damage is reduced by a lot. AP scale remains the same. Wait, but it was buffed, right? It was buffed in... Yeah, it was buffed anyways. When Rel casts Q, she moves 100 units forward as she takes a step to swing. On all Rel Q did reduce damage to minions after the first and only applied passive to the first enemy hit. Now it does full damage and applies passive to all enemies hit. A really weird spell to discuss, to be honest with you guys. From and secure down. Dismounted bonus attack speed. So now she gets bonus attack speed when she's dismounted. Bonus attack range. Gain 75 attack range. Dismounted bonus armor and magic resist. I mean, it makes much more sense considering the concept of the champion that Riot wanted to bring to the game. Like, you guys want to add some type of cavalry champion that becomes, let's say, different when it's dismounted. And the former Rel version, like the old one, it just felt like Rel isn't fun to play. Like the moment when she dismounts, she's just too slow. She can be kited by literally anything, and she feels just super boring to play. I'm not sure what this Rel will be. We'll see. We'll probably figure soon. Dismounted movement speed reduced to 280 flat, reduced by 15%. I wonder, they say this will be a nerf early game and a buff late game. How is that a buff? Can't stop now, Earl no longer has a movement speed cap while dismounted. Why would she have a cap when she's dismounted? It's, I mean, there are so many questions and so many potential answers that sound weird in my mind. Like, I don't know, maybe that's me, the fact that I didn't really like her playing Rel, but I just feel like all those changes, they are kind of not clicking with me. I don't know. Magic damage is reduced. The flat one. AP scale remains the same. As I said, AP scale is whatever. Shield value is already buffed. Our E radius is reduced, maximum slide distance is reduced, jump range is reduced, knock-up duration is reduced. Slide speed 80%, 85% of jump speed to 100% of jump speed. Actually, jungle rail, so now the okay. Mount up, so it's just removed. No movement speed, no extra movement speed. Initial movement speed bonus. 25, 30, 45, 40, 45 for 3.5 seconds. 30% that rapidly decays over 1 second. But they said that later on it will be better. I mean, it just sounds terrible. It sounds like a completely nerfed spell, no? Alright, let's see what happened with E. Rel gains... Wow. That much. Movement speed while mounted at levels 1 to 13 reduced... Reduced by 5% in combat. But she has to... Like, she has to be in combat. That's the CC support. She has to be in combat. She has to tank the damage. Makes absolutely no sense to me. Active full tilt Rel and an LH and Rel and an LA charge gain ramping movement speed up to 15, 17.5, 12, 20, 22.5, 25 over 3 seconds. This is doubled to 30, 35. So literally double towards enemies or each other. Additionally, Rel's next attack or shattering strike explodes in an area for 25, 35, 45, 55, 65, plus 40% AP, plus maximum health damage. I think it was changed as well to 4%, right? Yeah. I wonder. It's so weird because they had time to change the champion so many times on PBE and avoid making champion that will be reworked like they wanted to, that will come to life, being still unbalanced or poorly balanced and having poor win ratio. It's just weird to me. Why would you publish the champion like that? Akali, Q base damage decreased. Not the end of the world, but definitely a nerf for the laning phase, because for me, when I got to play against Akali during laning phase, Q was pain in the ass. Honestly, Q was very annoying. I'm not sure if nerfing the damage is the right thing. Probably nerfing cooldown would be a little bit better. At least like give it like 1 more second of cooldown would make more sense, because nerfing the damage, I mean, it's just kind of weird because the damage is not that high anyways. W damage decreased. Bro, Amumu got buffed like 2 or 3 patches ago and it's already getting nerfed, and exactly the spell that got buffed is getting nerfed now. Yeah, 13.9, 2 patches in. Alright, I mean, it's not the end of the world. Like, obviously that's a nerf to Amumu's potential to solo objectives, to solo Groms, and buffs, like basically tanky camps, tanky neutral monsters. But overall, that's not the end of the world, and Amumu is still great champion for taking down those tanky for taking down those tanky camps with his W. It's still a good spell to fight them. Affiliates. Passive bonus AD decreased. I mean, it's not like something important. It's like minus 3 AD in late game. It's whatever. Aurelion Soul. E-mana cost increased, magic damage ratio decreased. So mana cost. That's a lot. That's actually a lot for early game. 20 mana cost for champion like Castle. That's a lot. Magic damage per tick. It's the same. It's actually the same, but the AP scaling is decreased. Huh. I honestly don't think that's a big deal for ASOL, like in later stages of the game, but obviously for early stages of the game, increasing the mana cost by 20 is a lot. Like basically that's a 25% increasement on the spell cost. That's a lot. Aether. Q cooldown decreased, W summon rage increased, AP ratio increased. That sounds serious. Okay, let's read. Q concurrent sense 14 to what? 14, 12, 10, 8, 6 to 12, 10.5, 9, 7.5, 6. So what's the point? Like to buff his early game Q? It doesn't make too much sense to me because you still don't want to prefer Q over W now. Normally Azir is played with W as far as I know now. That's why it's weird why they want to make it the same spell in later stages of the game, but buff like first level. Probably because you get just 1 point in early game. W Arise. Summon range is increased by 25. Magic damage. Magic damage is the same. I mean, yeah, it's the same. The only difference is 5% AP scale. Probably 5% can actually make a major difference because that's his main damage source. Also, summon range is a little bit different. Like 25 is not too much, but it's something. considering how much Aether uses his W, that can be a game changer. I'm not sure yet how much it can influence Zero gameplay, but I think that can increase him the win rate by like 1, maybe 1.5%. Ivern, another champion changed. Right, Q root cooler. Ivern can now recast Q to jump directly to the target, while Ivern and allies can issue an attack command to move to their auto attack ranges distance away from the target. Cast range is increased by 50. Non-epic change. Q cooldown is now reduced by 50% when used on non-epic monsters. Ah, that's interesting. That's interesting. So even if you hit the champion, you will get 50% Q cooldown. That's very interesting because his Q is actually a very strong spell. That's very similar spell to Morgana's Q in a way. That's why giving it a range increase and giving Q cooldown refund when it hits someone sounds very, very promising for Ivern. I'll be honest with you guys, I didn't play with Ivern yet after the changes, but it sounds very interesting. And we didn't even get to the point of other spells yet. Alright, Brush Maker, redefining Death Brush. Brush Maker passive bonus magic damage on hit when exiting the brush for 3 seconds. Now applies to allied champions. Alien hit damage. That's very interesting concept. That's actually such an interesting concept. Like you give kind of low numbers. It's actually lower than Ardent Sensor, even at level 9, but it scales off AP. So it's like a huge motivation for Ivern to build AP and draft Ivern with someone who scales off attack speed and on hit, like Varus, like Kalista, like Kog'Maw, like this type of champion. Bruce spawn vision duration 3 seconds to 8 seconds. What? I mean, that's massive. That's 8 seconds of vision. That's a lot, and you cannot really remove it anyhow. You cannot drop a control ward. You cannot destroy the bush. You cannot, you just cannot make it disappear, and it's so weird considering the fact that it stacks. You can get multiple bushes stacks, and you can just control the area for, I don't know, like 30 seconds. Like place first bush, place second bush, and while you place in the first two, you will have third bush up. Like that's a lot. You can, like, it's so important for controlling late game objectives like Baron, like Elder Drake. This is actually a very good buff for Ivern. Brush duration 30 seconds up to a maximum of 45 seconds, or until your team loses vision inside of them. Looky, auto attacks empowered with Brush Maker now have a special visual effect to reflect the on-hit damage. Interesting. E. Triggers it. Change if when the shield detonates, there are no enemies, they are hit by the detonation, and the shield has not been broken, the duration of the shield is renewed. A very interesting concept, I must say. I wonder if it's getting renewed only once, or it infinitely gets renewed till the moment when the shield hits an enemy. Daisy attack range is increased. That's a lot actually. Daisy gets HP regeneration to 2.5 per second. Alright, movement speed is increased. Attack speed is increased. Bonus attack speed is a little bit nerfed at later stages, but at level 6 that will be nuts. Alright. Daisy slam damage. 100% of Daisy AD plus 20% of AP. That was earlier. Now 40, 60, 80 plus 100% of Daisy AD. Alright, so the scales are the same. But now instead of calculating it based on Daisy's AD, we now just have 40 flat damage. 40 flat damage. What I don't like that it's not clearly stated how it will be calculated, like physical damage from just Daisy's auto attack, or it will be like Daisy's auto attacks, but it will be converted to magical damage. Probably physical still. That's a lot. I mean, Iron gets many. Iron gets many reasons why he wants to buy AP items now, like actual Rabadons, actual Dark Seal early on, converting it to Magi's. It's actually an indirect buff to all the hyper carries like Jinx, like Zeri as well, because they will benefit from playing with Iron like that as well. Like you just draft something like Iron. Get someone really tanky top lane like Cho'Gath or Ornn or Cyan, get hyper carry, and the other two champions aren't really relevant at all. Like you can just pick any support and any mid laner at this point. You just need to get durable top laner, AP Iron, and some hyper carry on ADC. That's it. Jinx, attack speed grows decreased. I mean, it matters, it kinda matters, but it's not the end of the world. Like she will lose like a dagger at the end game. Not that much. Probably that's done because Riot expected to nerf Jinx at 13.10 because of the items, and she still worked quite well with the new items, so they want to add her another nerf. Makes sense to me. Kalista. Ooh, that's interesting. I didn't see Kalista being played for a while. Base health is increased by 25, health regeneration is increased, health regeneration grows increased, attack damage is reduced by 5. It's not a big deal for Kalista because Kalista's damage source is coming from attack speed, not from AD, so like nerfing AD is not cool, but it's not like the end of the world for Kalista. And the AD scaling is reduced as well. Passive, martial poise. You can run, but you can't hide. Kalista's basic attacks no longer miss if your target leaves vision. That's great. I mean, this had to happen years ago, like seriously, like 5, 6, 7 years ago when Kalista was released. It's so stupid. It was just added now, but like let it happen later, then it won't happen like ever. Damage dealt on hit 90% of total AD to 100% of total AD. I didn't even know that was doing like 90, not 100%, because in fact that's like her passive is a jump, right? And her jump is a standard auto attack for Kalista, so it's so weird that she was dealing like 90% of her total AD. That makes sense now why they nerfed her basic AD growth and basic AD from level 1. Q pierced, physical damage is increased. The scalar is increased, flat damage remains the same. It's so weird, like Riot wants us to play AD Kalista, or what's the plan? E cooldown. That's massive. That's actually massive. Like, she doesn't really benefit from this cooldown that much because you normally don't lose the cooldown because it's getting resetted when you last hit someone with it. But if you fail once, that will be much more of a forgivable spell than it was before, because waiting for 14 seconds was a huge mess. However, you never really waited for 14 seconds because you've been maxing E. So, I mean, it's definitely cool to see Kalista buffed. I wonder how she will play in this current meta, which is overloaded with assassins. But we'll see. Physical damage per extra stack: 10, 16, 22, 28, 34 scales of AD. So the flat damage is reduced, but AD scales are buffed. AD scales are buffed, so in fact we lose a little bit of our bully potential in early game because of AD nerf, right? And AD grows. But as soon as we buy items, we will deal more damage. If I calculated it right, we might deal a little bit more. Yeah, we might deal more, that's for sure. Interesting. That's actually interesting. Because I was missing Kalista badly. Like, Kalista was... I don't know, I think I saw Kalista maybe once in 100 games or something. Alright, Rek'Sai. I didn't really see a single Rek'Sai after 13.10 was out, because Rek'Sai was only played with Prowlers, and without Prowlers I never saw her. Passive Fury of the Xerxai. So cooldown is reduced to 1 second from 1.5. Heal with maximum fury 20 to 190 to 15 plus 20 for every 3 levels. So wait, that's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, even at level 7 it sounds quite a lot for passive spell. Plus 2, wait, plus 2%, plus 2%, wait, plus 2%, plus 2% of maximum HP for every 3 levels. I mean, she will just fully regen herself to full HP in a split second, no? Just super quickly. That sounds odd, not gonna lie. I mean, that sounds a very uncommon mechanic for Rek'Sai. Like, you don't... Like, Rek'Sai is not famous for being a tanky champion for someone who is absorbing tons of damage, right? That's why it sounds so weird to me. Like, why would she need this regeneration? Well, we'll see. Q, Queen's Wrath, unborrowed. 4 seconds at all levels. 2, 4, 3.5. Alright, so they encourage us to max Q at this point. So at level 9 it will be reduced to 2 seconds. Buff duration is reduced though from 5 seconds to 3 seconds. Hit and buff. Basic attacks now refers the buff duration of Queen's Wrath. So it kind of works the same way as Olaf ulti, right? You need to keep attacking to renew the buff. So the duration is reduced. But if you actively fighting, it won't end at all. Q buff no longer ends prematurely if Rek'Sai is burrowed for more than 1.5 seconds. Alright, but if she is burrowed, reveal duration 2.5 seconds to 5 seconds. Interesting. W, quality of life update. Target range increased to match and targeted range. No, this will mean that the optimization where it was better to line Rek'Sai up to the edge of your knock-up and press W at the perfect time instead of just clicking on the opponent has been removed. I really want to see how Rek'Sai will play the game now, because without the old Prowler Slav we are used to, I don't see the way how she can be played without something that can give her a dash. Even with these double, I don't know. I don't really know. Rek'Sai sounds really weird. Probably she'll need a rework. Renekton. E cooldown decreased. R cooldown decreased. Magic damage increased. That's solid. Honestly, I like Renekton badly. One of my favorite champions on top lane, that's for sure. However, I rarely see it picked, because the champion is fall behind like after level 11 and is getting outscaled pretty much by anything on top lane. So slice and dice 18, 17, 16, 15, 14 seconds to 16, 15, 14, 13, 12 seconds. Nothing really important. That's another quality of life change, but that's cool. But that's not a game changer for Renekton, that's for sure. Dominus cooldown is reduced from 120 seconds at all ranks to 120, 180 seconds respectively. Magic damage per tick is increased from 25, 50, 75 to 30, 60, 90. Not a game changer, definitely not a game changer, but a very notable steroid at level 11. At level 11, that's something that you will feel for sure, because the mid-game phase of the game, that's the moment when Renekton usually starts to fall off. And if you have an option to use your ultimate more frequently, to all-in enemies more frequently, that will be definitely a better experience for Renekton players. But as I said, I don't think that's something that can make Renekton viable comparing to Jax, Fiora, Camille, Sante, Gnar, Yorick, or like any popular top laner, pretty much. Twisted Fate, cooldown decrease no longer decreases with rank. W cooldown decrease no longer decreases with rank. Huh. That's great. That's great, and honestly, I think that's a massive buff for AD Twisted Fate with Triforce. I think you can play AD Twisted Fate this way even on mid lane, because Triforce is so broken now that you can use it even with Twisted Fate. Might be a big deal for Twisted Fate, that's for sure. Items. Ardent Sensor. Ardent Sensor. Yeah, that's the change that I was expecting. So it's flat now. It's flat now. It doesn't scale with levels now. So you like, in fact, that's a buff for Ardent Sensor for earlier stages of the game. So for champions like Lulu, you can rush Ardent Sensor now. For later stages, it's just making the item a little bit worse. But overall, that doesn't really kill the item, because the item is still a good item. I think we don't really want to mind it, to be honest. For champions who've been building Ardent Sensor, it's still a good item. For those who didn't build, they won't lose anything. Duskblade of Joktar. Night Stalker bonus ability damage is buffed. Yeah, it's buffed. Maximum bonus damage health threshold. 20% remaining health to 30% remaining health. That's not bad. That's not bad. I mean, that's basically a replacement for Yomus, for assassins like Rengar and Kha'Zix, I believe, because Yomus I think it got massive nerf. So that's a good replacement for assassins, and also for champions like Samira, who can rush decent amount of lethality with Duskblade and Collector, and just enjoy spinning inside a teamfight while you're being untargetable. This sounds quite cool, right? Echoes of Helia is too strong at healing, no way around it. That's kinda wrong, but let's see what they got there. So healing is reduced by 20, and damage per shard is reduced by 20 as well. You know, guys, I don't really care the 20 healing and the damage. It doesn't really matter to me. But what matters to me is the fact that it starts scaling off level 6. So earlier, if you would get, let's say, Echoes of Helia at, let's say, around level 8 as support, right? Like level 8. You would have your healing around 45 and damage around, let's say, 90. Now, your healing will be around 30, 35, and damage around 70. Overall, that's not the end of the world, but you will never want to get this item as a first item for sure now. Because this item would perform terribly in earlier stages. Gale Force. I hope it's a nerf. I really hope it's a nerf. 150 to 350 based on level, plus critical strike chance. So it's the same based on level. Critical strike chance damage is reduced by 50%. Maximum execution damage is reduced by 10%. That's good. That's good. That doesn't really kill the item. And also nerfs it, because in 13.10 Gale Force was super broken for champions like Yasuo and Dion. And they actually they actually argumented for champions like Yasuo and Dion. That's super good. Kraken Slayer, damage type magic to physical, that's very good. That had to happen. Change. 20 plus 60% CD, 45% CP to 35, 85. What? That's... wait. What? Level 8 to 18. Dude, that's a lot. Holy shit. That's a lot. I mean, if you get Kraken at level 8, right? Starting with level 8 to level 18 in scales. If you get Kraken at level 8, it does twice the damage that it was doing previous patch. It's a lot. Kraken is broken probably, right? It's a lot, especially with Ginsu. With Ginsu, it scales of AD and AP, it gives you multiple penetration. Yikes. I mean, you don't need the multiple penetration, but you need the scales to increase the Kraken damage. That's a lot. Wow. Moonstone Renewer, Chain Heal. Chain Heal. I mean, Moonstone Renewer is kinda a dead item unless you're playing Soraka, right? Or Sona. It's only good for those who can Chain Heal, but not for, like, we cannot use Moonstone as we were using earlier, because earlier I remember some people were picking Moonstone even for champions like Ezreal when Ezreal was played mid on Korea high ranks. Now that's definitely not it. Single heal 15 to 25% to 15 to 30. So if you heal someone once, it's kinda the same, but it scales the higher level you... wait, not the higher level you get. Based on allies level. That's actually such a healthy change. Holy smokes, that's very good. That's very good to make it scaling based on allies level, not on supports. I might test it. Not gonna lie. For Soraka, it sounds not too bad. Not too bad at all. Navari Quick Blades. So we get item recipe change. Attack damage is increased by 5. Ability haste is reduced by 5. Transcendence cooldown reduction is buffed. Mythic passive 5 ability haste, 5 attack damage. Yeah, I mean, ability haste is not needed when your item is either found in cooldown of the spells. It sounds very interesting. Not gonna lie, it sounds very interesting for champions like Tryndamere, for champions like Xayah. It sounds very promising. Runan is getting nerfed. On hit damage is reduced by 15, so basically half of its previous efficiency. That had to happen. Runan was overpowered in certain point 10, so I really appreciate the nerf. Static Shiv. Energize damage 60 to 170 level 7 to 18, 50% of AP scale, to 80 to 190, scaling based on levels. AP scales remains the same. Damage to minions modifier. I mean, that's really weird. They are not touching the AP scaling. Because I saw at least 3 champions who are not intended to use Static Shiv initially that were using it. I saw AP Ahri mid lane who were using Static Shiv. I saw a couple of Vigors, and I saw Jungle Echo who was using Static Shiv. And obviously none of them is initially intended to use this item. Storm Razor, I hope that's a nerf. Attack damage is nerfed by 5. Alright, change 25. Wait, what is it? I see, that's energized attack. That's the energized attack, so AD scale is nerfed. That's a very good nerf because Jean was really overpowered with this item. Not gonna lie, this was super annoying to play against, and Jean was just a brain that blind pick champion at this point, because you could just get Gale for Storm Razor Rapid Fire Cannon combination, and around like 20 minutes in the game, you've been a monster who is killing you from 10 miles away, and you cannot really do anything against it. So yeah. Alright, Yomo. Ability haste nerfed by 5. Bonus vitality at maximum stacks is nerfed as well. Distance per stack is nerfed. Yeah. I mean, that's still a lot at later levels, right? It still gives you 30 lethality total. Search lethality at level 18. Before that it was giving you 38. However, it's really good that stacks are getting done slower. That's a very healthy change. I'm not sure if it kills Ghostblade, but I'm really happy that it's getting a nerf, because Ghostblade was really overpowered. Like it was a must buy for pretty much any assassin, for Senna support, for some top laners. It's just very annoying when you don't have any variety what you can buy. Like you can, like if you're playing support, I mean not support, if you're playing assassin of any type, like jungler, top laner assassin, mid laner assassin, you're obligated to go Yomos. If you're not going Yomos, you're just losing too many stats. And now I really hope there will be a clash of concepts between Yomos and Duskblade. And Ornament is nerfed. Buff Shane. What is buff Shane? You mean the old OG strategy when mid laner was getting the blue buff from the jungler? Buff Wisps. When a jungler kills Red Brumbleback or the blue sentinel while their smite is fully upgraded, they will still receive the camp's buff. But in addition, a buff Wisp will be dropped at the camp's spawn point. An ally can pick it up by walking within the Wisp's radius within 1 minute of the camp dying before it disappears. Note, you do not need to smite the camp at any time in order for the buff Wisp to drop, but smite must be... I see. But I'm not the jungler. If a player that is not the jungler kills the red Brumbleback or the blue sentinel, but the jungler's smite is fully upgraded, then the buff Wisp will still drop. But it will only be visible to the allied jungler. It will still only remain for 1 minute. Man, that's so good! That's such a great change, wow. Wow, I really like it. That's the most interesting and entertaining change that we've got in this 13.11 patch. It really motivates me to play some League. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed this patch shutdown. Hope 13.11 will be productive patch for you, because we have around like 40 days till season ends. And hurry up guys, the summer is already here and we got very limited amount of time to get the ranks we want before season ends and get the border, the skins, the challenger recall, who knows. But yeah, keep using the good things that are buffed and drop the champions and items that are getting nerfed. That's my suggestion for today. See you next patch guys, bye.